Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Dishonored. I forgot the name for a second. We just woke up. We paid a visit to the Void, and the outsider gave us a magic mark on our left hand and a heart. Ooh, there's a lot of stuff sitting around. Is there all this stuff just sitting here for me? There's a lot of stuff just sitting around now. What the hell? Oh, that's loud. Pick it all up. Bone charms provide small supernatural benefits. Locate them by listening for the song they emit. By default, you can activate up to 3 bone charms at once in the bone charms section of the journal. By default means I can upgrade it. Is what I'm getting at that. Pick them up. I'm going deaf. I'll take that. Mystical fish. Yeah, restart the timer. I forgot about. Boop. Okay. What are you? Mystical red artifact. What are these artifacts? You sure? More bone charms. What are they for? What do they do? Journal of Granny Rags. And this thing. Is this just something I can sell later?
Do not attempt to approach or destroy a river crust. Any items recovered from doing
River crust. Okay. Journal of Granny Rags. How long is it? It's pretty long, but it might be something. Excerpt from the ramblings of a street denizen. Of course I'll tell you, dearie. I won't keep any... Of course I'll tell you, dearie. I won't keep any secrets from you in the end. All the dreary days of my life are like the windows of a house. From the kitchen I can see out into the garden where the leaves and stalks are brown and bug-eaten. You can see a little lump of dirt where something was wrapped in a blanket and laid to rest along the rows of twisting vines. This is kind of grisly. The front room looks out into the street where the neighbors are all setting fire to their homes, barricading themselves inside. Warm and snug, dearie. Don't forget about the bedroom either. It sees into a dreary alley where hooligans are playing a game with an old man. The first 2 are hitting him with sticks, and the girl with them is kicking at his dry old ribs. Oh, to have those bones, to boil them in a pot. No one lives in my house anymore, dearie. No one you'd want to meet. When I lived there with my husband, we were fine, fine people. Vera More, everyone would say. Your house is as grand as Boyle Manor. Better even. Your dinners are lavish and your parties are the best. When that young Sokolov came to paint my portrait, I was nearly still in my prime. Radiant, he said, and he was just barely a man, so young, painting all the best people across the land. Everyone wanted a portrait by his hand, all my friends. I was the only one, dearie, wet with his paint, glistening on the canvas for a pretty coin. But it wasn't all parties and paintings. My husband and I weren't always at home, no. We traveled together, he and I, to the far ends of the Isles, beyond even, all the way to the red cliffs of Pandysia, to dig in the rock and crawl through the caves, holding up candles and squinting at the walls. Many precious things we came upon, but none so precious as the boy with the black eyes, dearie. All those marks and bones carved so deep and polished so bright. This is definitely related to my interests now. I brought the old bones home, hid them from my dear husband. Then I learned to boil them and carve them myself. They made such good presents, dearie. The little mute boy took them home. He loved them so. At the time, all the time, he came back with new bones for me, holding them up so I could see it in his eyes, even though his tongue was still. Granny, his eyes would say to me, carve these bones for me. Make me another present. And he went so far, all the way to Dunwall Tower, the royal headsman himself now. My little mute boy and his shiny, shiny sword. Better bones were what I needed, you see. Better bones to carve and polish, scrape and gleam. My dear old husband was always tired. I made him soup, and then he was sick. Better bones was all. For my little mute boy carved in the name of... Better bones was all, for my little mute boy carved in the name of the one with the black eyes, and after my husband was gone, given away as birthday gifts. I didn't want to live there anymore. So now I'm old and don't have many to give presents to. It's sifting through the garbage for granny rags and feeding the little birdies that gather at my feet. No one wants to have tea, dearie, especially those rude louts on Bottle Street. Slackjaw and his boy. Slackjaw, there was a book on the other table for that. Slackjaw and his boys always meddling with an old woman just trying to make her way. In the end, we'll be together with him, you and me in the dreary night with stars above and below, and always the one with the black eyes, dearie. I'm not sure I understood all that, and it took a while to read, but... there's an old lady who was making these bone charms. And she was really into it. Yeah, early life and criminal report, Slackjaw. Holy shit, there's a lot of reading. Excerpt from a series of letters sent by a member of the Bottle Street gang. You want the chinwag on Slackjaw? What he was like when he was young, before he got his name? Oh, he's got a cool head now, but it weren't always like that in the days before he was the boss of the Bottle Street gang. Time was, young Slackjaw wasn't such a reasonable man. Like most of us, he grew up on the streets, running with a pack of ragamuffins and avoiding the law, pinching whatever he needed. Dark-haired and dark eyes, smoking a pipe by the age of 10. For them born into the brothels or coming from the orphanages, it was either the gangs or working with the mudlarks, and no one wants that. Some got pressed into the Navy or put down in the mines run by the Pendleton or Boyle families. As hard as it was on the streets, as hungry as we all got, at least we was free. By the time we weren't little uns anymore, Slackjaw was one to watch, usually calling the shots when we took down a farmer's cart or sidewalk street vendor. He'd come up with the plan, give everyone some part to play, and decide on the split. Most of us just went along because we learned fast that we made out better like that. More food, more coin. Plus, none of us wanted to deal with Slackjaw when he was in a rage. He worked on a couple of big jobs with Black Sally across town, and that was enough to get the attention of the other bosses. He wasn't just a street kid anymore. Now he was an up-and-comer, which meant trouble. Another guy who fancied himself as such was Mac the Fish, who was working his way up, running the protection racket among factory women. One fine evening, we were all taking in a body show at the theater house. Mac the fish and his lot are there in the cheap seats too, just down the aisle from us. Mike gets a wild idea. He wasn't big on planning and throws a heavy ceramic spittoon at Slackjaw, hits him square in the face and breaks his jaw. We'll look to see if there's gonna be a blood brawl, but Slackjaw just points at the door and we all leave with Mike laughing at our backs. Waking up the next day without telling us why, Slackjaw motions for us all to follow. He still can't say a word, so we just come along. We stop at the docks and Slackjaw buys. Actually, okay, that's what confused me. The dash. We stop at the dock and Slackjaw buys, actually pays coin for it, a heavy chain covered in hooks. It's for fishing in the deep, something you'd attach to a long line off the side of a ship. It's about 4 feet, made of thick links, and there's shark hooks coming off it at different angles. Slackjaw's got that thing wrapped around his left arm, dangling at his side. Not sure how he knew where Mac the fish was staying, but when we reach his girl's house, Slackjaw throws the bottle through the window, just like that. It's almost noon. There's a bunch of screaming inside. Mike pokes his head out, looking wide-eyed and baffled. When he sees Slackjaw out in the street, a look comes over his face. It still gives me the willies. Pure murder. See, this is interesting because he's doing all this with a broken jaw, too, apparently, after he got hit in the face with a spittoon. Mike comes out the side door, bellowing like a blood ox, holding a cleaver, heading straight for Slackjaw. When they come together in the street, Slackjaw spins and the shark hooks bite deep into Mike's arm and shoulder. He screams, but Slackjaw holds on to the chain. He's standing there with his jaw broken, clenched tight, with the chain wrapped around his left arm, hooks sunk into Mike the fish, just knifing him as fast as he can. Mike couldn't fight very well hooked like that, use his left hand, but he was a big guy. It took a lot of stabbing before he went to his knees. Everyone was cheering at first, but then we all went quiet. It just kept going and going until finally it was just Mike the fish blubbering, crying like a baby, and the sound of Slackjaw's knife. When it was over, and here's the brilliant part, Slackjaw took out a note and stuck to Mac's face with a nail. It just said, "If you want a job, come to Bottle Street." Slackjaw didn't talk right for a couple of months, but word spread fast. This is hard on my voice, actually. By the end of the year, once we had a sizable gang going, he sent out letters to the other bosses telling them that he was running a brand new crew over on Bottle Street. Most of them laughed and beat up the guys who delivered the letters. Green-eyed Trish even came back, missing a thumb, but apparently Slackjaw was expecting that kind of reaction and had a backup plan. A week later, 4 of the bosses were dead. Seemed like a series of unfortunate events, but everyone knew better. One shot dead by the watch while standing in the middle of a meat market. Another slipping and falling into the water out cold. One of the older bosses found in bed with his belly open wide and a Tivian pear stuffed in his mouth. Still not sure what that meant. And Sheila Barnsworth was found bubbling in a cauldron of hot wax. Ow. Slackjaw sent out another set of letters. Offers to the underbosses telling them they'd be treated fair as peers. He even sent Green-eyed Trish with one of the letters. All of the underbosses accepted. After spilling the guts of his main competition, Slackjaw went for stabilizing his business real neat-like, calling in favors, smoothing things over, giving everyone a little bit of corn or drink as a bonus, showing we could be like his boss. So everything got quiet, which always makes the boys of the City Watch nervous, of course. Word went out, among the royal spy masters, snitches, the responsible citizens group they called themselves, telling everyone working in a shop was sweeping off the front steps of their homes to keep watchful eyes for Slackjaw and his men, trying to suss out what they were up to, what had just happened. But Slackjaw ain't stupid. He greased a few palms among the shopkeepers in the watch, too, telling them that he was in town to stay and that things would be run properly from now on, without so much blood. He was finally a real boss, ready to settle into the business of moving whiskey, running the hand fights, and offering up the ladies and gentlemen of the night, if you take my meaning. Then the plague came. At first it seemed like a good thing. A few people got sick and everyone wanted to buy those potions from Slackjaw or Piero. Health elixir, spiritual remedy, they call them. Slackjaw told me he saw an opportunity. We already had an old whiskey factory with a still where we could water the stuff down and sell it discounted. Doing the same with the Sokolov's elixir was a smart plan. Pretty soon everybody in the slums was sick and business was good. But after a while there were so many people come down with the plague that everyone got scared. Everybody started acting real nasty and everything fell apart. People can't work, they don't have corn for elixir, watered down or pure. When the Empress died, it seemed like Dunmore would slide into the void. Spymaster Burroughs took over the watch and started using all that new Sokolov technology. Watch towers, tollers, and them arc pylons. They put up a wall of light across Clavering Boulevard and cracked down hard. But Slackjaw surprised us again. Instead of leaving town on a boat bound for Morley or one of the other houses, he stayed and kept it all together. We get as much elixir to fight off the plague as the city watch with their taxes and rations. And that's kept us alive so far. Crowley, Bottle Street Gang. I read all that as husky country as I could. No, my luck, the guy's probably British. This is probably just going to be a narration episode. Is that coin? I want that. Oh, Spy Dowd. Excerpt from the personal memoirs of Hiram Burroughs, dated several years earlier. This is the fourth day, month of high cold. Progress continues on the suppression of gang activity in the distillery district, but more slowly than I'd expected. The ruffians operating there have been cunning, I'll grant them that, but it's only a matter of time. I'll see their leaders flogged in public and sent beneath the royal executioner's blade. If I had my way, that mute bastard would be working night and day, removing the heads that need moving. So the royal executioner is the mute kid that was bringing bones to Granny Rags. Internally, the Empress does not seem pleased with my investigations. It seems that it is beyond her thinking, against her very nature as a trusting person, to believe that traitors move among us, but I know they do. They must. No, Jessamine would rather spend her time with the royal protector. At least he's likely to stop any immediate threat to her safety, but a strong arm is not what's needed against those who would undermine us. How will Corvo's sword stop a poisoned wine glass or an explosive delivered by courier? It will not. There are many threats around us, threats requiring meticulous efforts to police. Young Lady Emily is undisciplined, I'm afraid. Here within Dunwall Tower, she receives instruction from the finest tutors known in the Isles, yet her mother spoils her, and she spends most of her time lost in imagination, wasting her time drawing or asking Corvo to teach her to fight with wooden sticks. The girl might rule the empire someday. Every moment spent at play is a moment wasted. Man, just a kid. Calm down. Shoring up security for the main gate leading into Dunwall Tower has been another pet project of late. To think that back in his day, Emperor Caldwin left it open to the public during the day, allowing anyone to come and go as they pleased. If it were up to me, I'd seal off access to the streets entirely, but the Empress won't hear of it. The waterlock is much easier to protect, and if it were the only way into the tower, traffic in and out would be greatly reduced. Someday the wrong person is going to slip in and will suffer for it, mark my words. No amount of security is excessive when it comes to protecting heads of state. The Empress also disapproves of my plans for the Sokolov devices. Sokolov himself has no interest in security, of course, but he's vain and therefore keen to see his inventions deployed in any fashion. This wall of light he's been tinkering with has promise, singular. In any case, at least I was able to convince the Empress to upgrade the pistols carried by the officers of the watch. Why do I worry so when no one else seems to care? If I ever fall asleep, will it all sink into the ocean? Will the rough things clamber over the walls and fill themselves on our flesh? What? This is what I see in the same dream several times each month. If only I had more saying things, more authority, I could protect us all. Perhaps I had been working too hard. Dinner and an evening of conversation with a certain lady of refinement might be in order. Perhaps somewhere nice in the estate district. Here in Burroughs, Royal Spymaster. So is this the jackass? Probably. It's right here, the motive for why he took over. Yep. Rumors and sightings. Dodd? I'm gonna go with Dodd for now. Excerpt from an Overseer's Covert Field Report. Holy shit. Why is this all sitting here anyway? I don't know who any of these people... I know who the Royal Spymaster is. And I know a lot about these other people now, but why is this all just sitting in Corvo's room after he wakes up? With all this other crap. For over a year now, I have lived away from the Abbey without the company of my overseer brethren or the guidance of the blind sisters of the oracular order. Days have passed with me sleeping in the dens of cut purses, murderers, and worse, and the nights have seen me prowling through the worst alleys and wretched corners of Dunwall. I have taken my meals with killers. At times, I venture beyond the walls, meeting in forgotten graveyards and the outlying ruins frequented by those of ill means. My beard has grown long, and I wear the weathered clothing and bits of boiled leather favored by the Bottle Street and Hatter gangs, and by those rough men and women who make their trade knifing others in return to coin. Yeah, I wonder if that's talking about from the other book. My hands have run red with blood, it's true, but I have selected my targets with care, choosing among those criminals and heretics who were not fit to live, executing them justly and using their deaths as a means of building my reputation. So far, this trick has allowed me to make my name among my murderous colleagues without taking the lives of the innocent. My goal is singular. I must impress the assassin named Dodd in order to get close to him. Of all the practitioners of black magic we have tracked, none concern the Abbey as much as Dodd. It is said that his mother was a witch from one of the archipelagos off the Pandician coast. That was mentioned before, I can't remember where. I think it was Granny Rag's journal. That's where they went and found all that stuff. Taken captive by pirates venturing far from the Isles, according to the legend. By the time the ship returned, the captain was dead, and the witch controlled the crew with Dodd still a shadow in her belly. The earliest stories tell of a gang killer without mercy, moving among the shopkeepers and city watch officers of Dunwall like a reaper through wheat. Then a period of silence followed. Years we now believe he spent traveling the Isles, studying anatomy and the occult in the great halls of learning and in hidden basements frequented by fellow dabblers in the forbidden arts. Dodd is even purported to have spent a winter in the Academy of Natural Philosophy itself, and for a time before a schism developed, he counted the Brigmore witches among his allies. That's one of the DLCs. All the while, he honed his craft, and it is during this time that we believe he began to consort with the Outsider. That's the guy I just met. New reports emerged of a dusky-skinned assassin paid by the elite to eliminate their rivals in Dunwall and in the other major cities across the Isles. Those who saw him and lived numbered in the handful, but all of them reported something strange. He appeared and vanished like smoke. I know that trick now. From a nearby rooftop, he gestured, and a noblewoman stumbled from her balcony, falling to her doom on the cobblestones below. Most recently, as this new threat of plague has risen in Dunwall, Dodd has been seen leading a gang of men in dark leather dressed as factory whalers in their vapor masks. These seem loyal beyond comprehension for one so unworthy, leading me to wonder if some of his magic is dedicated to lulling their minds, enslaving them. Only a month ago, one young girl claims to have come upon a strange scene, carrying a bottle of milk home to her crippled mother. She was taking a shortcut through the tailor's district. In a narrow street, she passed beneath a window and heard unusual sounds from within. Pushing aside the ratty curtain, the girl saw into an abandoned apartment used by miscreants for gambling and trading haberweed. Haberweed? I think that's an A. Haberweed. An occult shrine had been erected against the far wall, which she recognized from the teachings given by a local overseer. A man she described as resembling Dodd was kneeling before the shrine, muttering to an unseen spirit as if in argument. He took a carving made of pale bone from the altar before him, and the lights all went out in a gush of unclean wind. Quiet as a field mouse, she slipped away, running until she reached her home. There can be no doubt. Dodd is an agent of the Outsider and must die, for there is no limit to the evil this man might do. This is my solemn oath and great purpose of my life. Until Dodd is dead and his corruption has been purged from the world, I will continue to move among the depraved, winding my way toward him. I will not drop my guise or don my overseer's mask again until Dodd breathes no more. This man won't rest until Dodd is dead. We're closing in on the end of this video, the allotted time. I spent all that time reading. That's insane. But I'm gonna go out and see if I can find this room.
Dunwall citizens. River traffic is from landing in the district due to risk of infectious contact. Violators.
Man, Blink is awesome.
Treatment and rehabilitation.
Yeah, I'm gonna go... Where is it? Alright, I don't have the heart. Interesting. I'm gonna have to make use of Blink to get there.
In the basements below, hound kills hound, and money changes hands.
Okay, that's not what I was looking for, but thank you. What? How deep is this water? Pretty deep. Pretty deep. I don't want it. Excuse me. I'm stuck. Can I not go that way? I just had to jump over it. I know. Shush, why do you think I'm out here? Play your way. Powers. The powers you obtain from runes can be used creatively to defeat enemies or move through the environment. Blink from roof to roof, possess rats and fish, or slow time before rushing a group of enemies. We'll get to that. Right now, I just really want that treasure sense. That's everything, right? Yeah, I did that. Thank you. Thank you. Excuse me? Is there a problem here? Where did I come from? I don't remember. Shit. I ain't getting there. If I can get up. Damn it. Well, nothing's attacking me anymore, so... Let me up. There we go. Yeah, Blink is cool. I like it. Just gonna hang out with my heart, buddy. Let's go read some minds.
Such laughter, and they're singing the old songs, linking arms. But that was from a happier time. Deals are made here, sometimes under the influence of wine, and sometimes the influence is the point
Lady,
of the knife.
we're not talking about the bar, we're talking about him.
Each and every night, the black-eyed
You'll find my
outsider
genius
visits
adversity.
on Piero's dreams.
Bring me items of value, I can use the proceeds to build tools for you. Bring me any technology, anything at all, and I will reverse engineer it for our needs.
He is Piero Joplin. Even now, he visualizes the next invention.
I cannot go out with you into the night leaping
should
from
see
rooftops
too.
and such. But it pleases me to help you here.
Poor
By
Piero.
crafting your weapons.
His elixirs have cured so much for so many, but they cannot cure his brain fevers.
Because it's the outsider doing it to him,
The
apparently.
youngest ever to
My mind
pass
is
the
not
Academy of
always
Natural
a function
Sciences.
in logical fashion.
Social law
I
never
believe
forgives
it's the
him
key
that.
to my brilliance.
He has spied upon Callista as she bathes, more than once.
Bruh.
Each and every
place is-
night,
Okay, we're getting
the
repeats.
outsider visits upon Piero's
I'll have
dreams.
a vast laboratory done wrong.
Have I used this?
Does part of the soul live in the heart? If the heart keeps beating, does that mean that the spirit is never released into oblivion? I can keep a heart beating forever with electricity, but what does that mean for any essence trapped within? It'd be easier if I created these processes in waking hours. I am uneasy pursuing avenues that emanate from my dreaming mind.
Evil mad scientist powers. Yeah, we're over a half hour. I'm gonna have to end this episode here, but we read a lot of lore. We found a lot of charms and runes and whatever those statues were, and now I'm running around shoving my heart in people's faces and reading their minds and invading their privacy with my hunk of meat. So, we'll pick it up again the next episode. We'll read a couple more minds and then continue with the story after getting upgrades. I forgot about that. I need my upgrades. Gotta get my upgrades. But, thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next episode.